Hello, everyone.
Hi, Dhaniah.
Hi.
I'm Aarathi.
I'm Dhaniah. Hello, Evelyn Chai, our sign language interpreter.
And welcome to Live Chats with Women of Now, Part 3. Dhaniah, this is our final in the series of live chats, and we're streamed live on TWorks Facebook and YouTube channel.
We've been bringing conversations to your screen with the socially conscious and engaged endeavors of more than 35 women working to connect and support the communities they work with, featured in our Women of Now digital exhibition, curated by Now Artistic Director Nolina Mohammed as part of the Festival of Women. So, as Aarathi said, tonight is the third night that we're diving deeper into their work, exploring the commitment of our Women of Now to raising awareness of the overlooked gaps in our society.
Festival of Women is part of Now 2020, presented by TWorks, amplifying the work that women creatives, change makers, and social champions do to advance issues affecting women at the intersection of gender, class, and race. The Women of Now digital exhibition is on www.notordinarywork.com. The address can be found on the ticker tape below our screen.
We also want to tell you a little bit about TCare, TWorks Beneficiary Initiative, which exists to support women projects led by women, and is a commitment to making the borders between art and life more porous. This year, it supports 7 projects, which are the Cadet Project, led by Nurul Jihada Hussein,
Keeping Hope Alive, led by Fionn Poir, Project X with Vanessa Ho, Sherry Shakwesa, and Wani,
It's Raining Raincoats by Deepa Swaminathan, Project Julia Street by Eva Lim Seng,
Three Pumpkins, led by Lin Shi-yun, and Now, helmed by Nurlina Mohammed. And today we'll be featuring Three Pumpkins and Now. Remember, folks, we are streaming live, as I said earlier, so there's a lot of tech making this happen, as is in your homes. So if you are sharing the screens and the shows today on your social media, please do use the hashtag Women Championing Women. Also, obviously, please do send us your questions and comments as you're watching us live today, and we will try our best to share them. I don't have my glasses again, but I'll be fine.
It's okay, I'll read for you. Also, visit the website www.notordinarywork.com, where you'll find details on how to pledge your support to TCare, as well as information about the other 7 beneficiaries and projects that we featured over the last 3 days. You can also find information, as I said, at the bottom of the screen. And with that, on with the show. Our first guest today is Lim Shi-yin, the creative director of Three Pumpkins, a TCare supported beneficiary. This 4-year-old non-profit arts company has been known for its activities anchored around children and tapping the potential of art to transform, break down walls, begin conversations, and foster understanding. Usually held outdoors in Tua Payoh, Boon Lay, and Lengkok Bahru, their usual modus is to embed in specific communities over the year to understand need and organize activities that respond to each community's dynamics. Despite social distancing during the pandemic, they've been busier than ever, quickly digitizing their community work using Facebook Live and YouTube.
Yes, some of their programs are Lelio Fusion, which is a dialect privileging radio audio programs catered for the elderly, including Chinese dialects, Malay, Warong Cakap, and I believe they have one in Tamil. And they use Facebook Live and YouTube to stream these. They also, Shiyun also managed to invite some artists to create an interactive digital program called What Happened.
They used to operate guerrilla style, but to enable broader change, engaging with authorities has been key. Still, they are clear that this is not about being co-opted. They stay rooted in neighborhoods and grounded in reality. Sheen's advice for artists who wish to do this work: be unafraid. Courage is important. Let's watch Three Pumpkins.
I'm Ling Shiyun. I'm the Managing Artistic Director of Three Pumpkins.
So Sheen, tell us more about Three Pumpkins and what is it that you do on the ground?
Three Pumpkins is a community arts company. So we basically base ourselves in neighborhoods. So currently we are in Lengkok Bahru and Boon Lay. We take time to understand the community, especially focusing on children, youth, and the seniors.
So COVID-19 has changed the landscape of how we do things. So how do you continue to engage with the community currently?
So while working with children, when COVID happened, we realized that actually seniors were very badly affected. Yeah, because senior activity centers were the first to close down. So we realized that there is a problem when seniors are very dependent on the center. When COVID happened, they had no activities, so they're disoriented. That's also when I start thinking about we have to create some sort of content to engage seniors. And of course, over a very long time, even before I started this company and doing this work, we know that there's an issue of language gaps for the Chinese. For instance, we don't have programs in dialect in the mainstream media. So we use this opportunity to create programs in various dialects for the seniors. So that's how the digital program came about the last 3 months. Yeah, last 2 months. So we have this platform which is a radio. It's like a physical radio, and we pair up with social service to distribute these radios to seniors staying alone. And we're also thinking about how can we engage seniors staying in the nursing home. Yeah. So working with these artists, we realized that it's good to have a program that's more listening based, so that this content goes out very easily. Yeah. So we were in Lengkok Bahru since March 2019. Then we realized that this neighborhood is very much divided in income bracket. So you have the rental flat community, you have the mansionette, 4-room flat. So there are a mixture of different demographics here. Yeah. So we thought of a place-making project where we could get agencies and communities to communicate and work with each other while building these projects. So you will see murals that are placed in different parts of the neighborhood, so that we can encourage people to move in different parts of this neighborhood while looking at the murals to discover their own neighborhoods actually. But because we are multi-sector, it's actually quite difficult for us to get a grant specifically for the company from any of the ministry. So T-Care funding will really help in the operation funding. This is to help us expand the program to further our objective of building stronger communities. Actually, there are a lot of work that has to be done outside the program. For instance, talking to different agencies from different sectors on how they understand the work. So a lot of work has been done on education, on volunteer management, as well as gathering a team of researchers to measure the impact of the work. And hopefully we can also speak to policymakers about how they can look at policies that will really benefit these communities who are displaced.
In case you're wondering about the background noise in the video, we were shooting on a particularly stormy day. So it was a nice, cool day when I met with Sheen. Three Pumpkins is taking on many different moving parts to cater to the communities that they're working with.
And funding from T-Care will enable Three Pumpkins to broaden and deepen their committed community engagement, both digitally and on the ground.
Our next guest is Geraldine Wilson, food rescuer for SG Food Rescue. Geraldine is a food rescuer with a community of 14,000 others. They collect unwanted vegetables, cooked food, and even recently expired food across Singapore for distribution to anyone. Here to tell us more about this ground-up initiative, please welcome Geraldine. Hello, Geraldine.
Hi, everybody. Hi, good evening.
Welcome, Geraldine. I'm going to just jump right into it. Feed people, not bins, is the motto of SG Food Rescue. Can you tell me what is food rescuing, and can anyone do this?
Okay, so food rescue is basically just diverting food that would have been thrown into bins or dumpsters to people who would accept and eat them. So,
Okay, and can anybody do this?
yeah, anybody can do it. It could be on a small scale, like you cook too much, you can't store it in the fridge. Why not share it with your neighbors or your friends? Or even on a larger scale, where you approach businesses and ask them if they have any food that they are going to discard.
And so, what are the types of food that you're rescuing, Geraldine, and where does it come from?
Okay, the three basic categories of food that we rescue is raw food like fruits or vegetables, cooked food that could come from restaurants, buffets, or even bento sets from events, and recently expired food as well. So I think there is some taboo about like cooked food because caterers usually give you a time limit. You know, you can only consume it between this 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., that kind of thing. And even for expired food as well, a lot of people are very wary about eating any food that goes past the expiry date. But what most people don't know is that for expired food, usually the manufacturers would have a conservative estimate of the time. So for quite a lot of the food, especially if it's sweet stuff, you can still consume it safely about 6 months after expiry.
Okay, so that's for like manufactured food. What about expired food? Like you mentioned, foods off buffets and stuff. What about that? I mean, when you talk about expired food from that respect.
Okay, I think most people are worried that if they eat cooked food after a certain time limit that's given by the caterers, then they're worried that they'll get sick. But I think that can happen even if you eat the food within the time limit, as you can see by certain news reports that we've seen. Yeah, so usually we haven't really had this issue with all our food rescuers. In fact, I would
Okay.
say the biggest danger that we have had for all our food rescuers, hands down, sorry, is that we've gained weight. Yeah.
So, Geraldine, who's eating this rescued food? I mean, you obviously. Who else? So, how do you distribute?
Oh, no.
How do you distribute this food?
Okay, we actually have a community of people across Singapore actually, and most of the food we'll do a call and see who wants to eat this food, and people who can accept it will come and take the food from us. So yeah, we do have a pretty strong community, and if we need more manpower or volunteers, usually we'll just do a shout out on our Facebook page on SG Food Rescue.
Okay. And who's wasting food? I mean, do you have regular, food wasters?
I know, the media likes to focus a lot on consumer food waste. Like you can see a lot of articles say, oh, Singaporeans throw away like $258 worth of food every year from excess waste. But most of the food waste that happens, right? It actually comes from upstream sources like wholesalers, and all this stuff. We really don't see it happening. But if you go to places like Pasir Panjang Wholesale Center, you can see tons worth of food thrown away every day, and it's mind-boggling just to see the amount of wastage going on. That's why we started approaching vendors to say that, if you're going to throw away this food, can we just take it instead? And then we redivert it to people who don't mind eating it, because we have such an obsession with food looking perfect. For example, like
Yeah.
fruits. You don't see blemished fruits in the market very often, and that's because places like supermarkets think that people don't want to purchase these kind of foods, and yeah, so
Yeah, so they're wasting the food because, I mean, like you talked about the markets, it's because they're all damaged or they're slightly black or they're slightly bruised, right? That's why they're chucking them.
yeah. One of the things that we heard from vendors also is that sometimes like the food comes in bulk, right? So you get stuff like blueberries, a whole carton, punnets and punnets of blueberries, and they see like, oh, there's mold in some of the punnets. They just throw away the entire carton because
Wow.
it just costs too much money to have the manpower to sort it one by one. And
Right.
actually, a little mold for us, I mean, it's okay because you just need to soak it properly in vinegar, wash it, or you just remove the offending part, and the rest actually is perfectly edible. Or even ugly vegetables. Suppliers have told us that supermarkets reject any vegetable that doesn't fit a certain size, like too big, too small, even like different color variations. Like, for example, bell peppers, if you see like some of them turning a different color already, mixed like red or green, those aren't acceptable either.
So I guess they're left on the shelves, right? So what are the attitudes to food that you've come to understand in Singapore? I mean, some of these examples, do you have any others? I mean, what are some of the scares or worries?
Okay, I think mainly businesses, right? They do want to give away the food that they can't sell. But they're very afraid of liability. Like, oh, if I give away this food, what if somebody says they ate it and they got sick and then they want to sue us, or they take to social media and they complain. And then, our reputation will drop. So one of the things we do offer is we offer to sign a liability waiver. So sometimes we don't tell people where we get the food from at the request of businesses as well. So it works out for them. Yeah.
Okay, and I think we during the elections they were talking about the Good Samaritan law being proposed, and I guess that will definitely help to encourage more businesses to donate food, right? Once they have that kind of protection.
Yes, basically the Good Samaritan law is to just help with liability issues, I think, so that companies can feel more comfortable in donating food.
Yeah. Thank you, Geraldine, for your time. We just had a comment from Lynette, and she said you can lose weight by coming to help with SG Food Rescue by carrying cartons and taking all the stuff. Geraldine, thank you very much for coming on and teaching us a little bit about food rescuing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So quite a few comments popping up, and she has a lot of supporters there, which is great news. So food consumption lessons are really key to understanding how it's up to us to educate ourselves on how food is being produced, consumed, and how much food exactly is being wasted. So simple ways to shift our mindset to one that values the bounty we receive.
Yeah, someone just said, long live spring onions, man. If I could figure out a way of how to make spring onions and coriander last for at least a week, I'd be very happy. Okay, so if you've just joined us, you're watching Live Chats with Women of Now, Part 3. And we were just talking to Geraldine Wilson of SG Food Rescue. I'm Aarathi.
And I'm Dhaniah. We are your hosts for tonight. Our next guests to join us live are Aarathi and Malar Thamalingam from Women of Shakti. Women of Shakti is an empowerment group who work to ensure both visibility and agency to South Asian domestic helpers in Singapore. Aarathi, Vaishnavi Naidu, and Sindhura Kalidas, together with a small group of volunteers, began offering English lessons to Tamil domestic helpers in 2018 and developed their outreach from there. Please welcome Aarathi and Malar, one of Women of Shakti's oldest members. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Vanakkam, Malar.
Hi,
Okay.
Vanakkam.
So, Aarathi, this question is for Malar. What are the specific challenges that female South Asian domestic helpers experience living in Singapore?
ஸோ சிங்கப்பூரில் தமிழ் பணிப்பெண்கள் எதிர்நோக்கிற பிரச்சனைகள் என்னென்ன சொல்லுங்க.
சிங்கப்பூர்ல தமிழ் பெண்கள் ஆங்கிலம் தெரியாம அவங்க பிறரோட உதவிகளை நாடி அவங்க அது அது அவங்களுக்கு கஷ்டமா இருக்குது. இப்போ அடுத்தவங்களோட உதவியை நாடுறது அவங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்குது. அடுத்து அவங்களுக்கு குறிப்பிட்ட நேரத்தில் அவங்களுக்கு அந்த லீவு கிடைக்கிறது கிடையாது. அந்த லீவு கிடைக்கக்குள்ள அப்படி லீவு இல்லாத நேரத்தில் அவங்க ஒர்க் பண்ணக்குள்ள அவங்க அவங்களுக்கு சரியான ஊதியம் அதுக்கான வேலை செய்யறதுக்கான ஊதியம் அவங்களுக்கு சரியா கிடைக்கிறது கிடையாது. மற்றபடி அவங்க சம்பளம் அவங்களுக்கு குறிப்பிட்ட தேதியில போய் சேர்றதில்ல. அப்போ சில எம்ப்ளாயர்ஸ்னால அவங்களுக்கு இந்த பாலியல் தொந்தரவு, சில பிரச்சனைகள் அதுவும் சில டைம்ஸ் அது இருக்குது எல்லாருக்கும். அப்புறம் வந்து அவங்க வந்து ஏன் தொடர்ந்து சிங்கப்பூருக்கு வர்றாங்க, அந்த பெண்கள் வந்து நிறைய பேர் இங்க வர்றதுக்கு காரணம் வந்து அவங்க வந்து சிறு வயசுலயே பாலியல் வன்கொடுமை, அப்புறம் வந்து சிறு வயசுலயே அவங்க வந்து கட்டாய திருமணம், அந்த குழந்தை திருமணம்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அந்த கட்டாய திருமணம் பண்ணும்போது அவங்க வந்து சிறு வயசுலயே விதவையாகி, அதனால அவங்க பல கஷ்டங்கள சந்திக்க நேர்றதுனால அவங்க சிங்கப்பூருக்கு வர வேண்டியதா இருக்குது. அப்புறம் வந்து அவங்களோட கல்வி, அவங்க குடும்ப கஷ்டங்கள்னால வந்து கல்வியில வந்து தொடர்ந்து அவங்களால படிக்க முடியாம போயிடுது. அதனாலயும் அவங்க வந்து சிங்கப்பூர் வர்றாங்க. அப்புறம் இந்த வரதட்சணை கொடுமை, அப்புறம் இந்த விதவை கணவனை இழந்து அந்த விதவைங்கள்லாம் இருக்காங்கல்ல, அவங்கெல்லாம் வந்து இங்க வர்றதுனால வந்து அவங்களுக்கு வந்து தங்களோட உறவுகள்லாம் இதனால வந்து விட்டு போறதுனால அவங்க அந்த பிரச்சனைகளை வந்து தானே சுமந்து செய்யறதுனால அவங்க வந்து சிங்கப்பூர் வர வேண்டிய சூழ்நிலை ஏற்படுது அவங்களுக்கு.
Okay. So
Aarathi, I'm going to ask you to do the translation. Yes.
Okay, sure. So Malar explained that specific challenges that Tamil domestic workers, South Asian domestic workers face include such things such as like, so when they're here in Singapore, the challenges they face would be to the fact that they receive lower salaries compared to other domestic workers in Singapore. And many of them don't get their days off because most of the time agents and employers kind of collude to tell the domestic workers that they only get one day or they don't get any days off. Whereas although by MOM's suggestions, they should get 4 days a week, 4 days a month off. So the lack of days off, lower salaries, and on top of that, sexual harassment and abuse that they may face in the sphere of their home because of their employer, or in the public sphere because of other men who see them in a particular light because of the social position that they hold in our country. So in Singapore, these are the challenges that they face. Malar also elaborated on the challenges they face in India and the causes for them to leave, right? So some of these also include gender-based violence kind of issues, which include childhood marriage, lack of access to education, and dowry-based abuse, marital rape, marital abuse. These are some of the other issues that they faced and continue to face as they keep in touch with their families here and while working in households here as well.
Yeah, I mean, and she also mentioned because of the lack of a knowledge of English language, right? And many of them might be illiterate, so which is why they don't know what the contracts say, and they're being exploited by employers as well as agents. Why is this still happening, Aarthi, here in Singapore? I mean, you would think that, with different mindsets, we wouldn't expect something like this to happen.
I think for many Tamil domestic workers, Singapore actually is like the best location for them to come to work compared to like for Filipino workers, for them Hong Kong is like the next best destination. But for Tamil domestic workers, it's like Dubai, Malaysia seem to be worse off locations than in Singapore. So the reason why they feel that way before they come is because they see some sort of a racial alignment. So they feel that if they were to work in Indian families in Singapore, they would feel more at home because they share the same language.
No, I think we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty. Aarthi, could you just...
Hello?
Yep. Okay, keep going. We've got you back.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello? Hi, guys.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, great. We've got you back. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, you got interrupted. Carry on.
Yeah. So I was explaining, whereas when they actually come here, because of the nature of the work they do and the devaluation of the work that they do here, regardless of the fact that they share similar like ethnicities with their employers, the way they get treated it's very different, and it can be quite alienating at times. So this is why the reason, I guess the reason for perpetuation of this issue is because of how we value these women and how we value the work together with that.
Yeah. So Aarthi, what does your outreach consist of at the moment?
Right now,
The dog.
we have reached out to at least, I would say, about 60 to 80 women so far over the 2 years. But in terms of like consistent engagement for like the number of members that actually attend every single class on a weekly basis, we have about 15 regular members. So apart from English classes, we have organized health workshops, dance workshops, and also organized our own events like a human library event where we center the voices of our Tamil domestic workers, right? So Malar was one of our books at our human library event where she got to share her story directly with the public. Yeah.
Okay, and is it easy for the ladies that you work with come to these events?
I think for our classes, the outreach, the way in which we do the outreach is through our domestic workers themselves and their own networks. Because initially we were not sure how employers would see this type of a group, right? So for many employers, they to them it's like you're here to work and that's all you should be doing, and they don't see the empowerment of the domestic workers as something that is important to them. So progressively, we're trying to explore the option of engaging employers for them to see the importance of a group like this. So slowly, we're trying to explore other ways of outreach as well.
So you do extend the invitation to the employers to attend these events, right? Just
Yeah, of course.
okay, great. Okay, so Malar, I would like to ask Malar's opinion. What kind of resource and support does she think Women of Sakti need to evolve? How would she like to see the work of Women of Sakti evolve?
நம்ம குரூப் இன்னும் முன்னேறி வர்றதுக்கு என்னென்ன முக்கியம் நினைக்கிறீங்க?
இன்னும் முன்னேறி வர்றதுக்குன்னா நிறைய வந்து அவங்கள்ட்ட இன்னும் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் வந்து அவங்க எல்லாத்துலேயும் வந்து அவங்க எல்லாருமே ஒத்து போனாங்கன்னா வந்து குரூப்பில் வந்து இன்னும் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நடக்க வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. அது இந்த போட்டி பொறாமை இந்த போட்டி இருக்கலாம், ஆனால் பொறாமை தான் இருக்கக்கூடாது. பொறாமை இருந்துச்சுன்னா வந்து ஒரு குரூப்பை முன்னாடி கொண்டு வர்றது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். அது எல்லாரும் வந்து ஒத்துழைச்சு செஞ்சாங்கனாக்கா முன்னாடி வரலாம் அந்த குரூப்.
ஆமா.
ஸோ அதுக்காக தான் நாங்கள் வந்து ரொம்ப ட்ரை பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
நீங்க நல்லா தான் செஞ்சிருக்கீங்க. Yes, Aarthi, you want to translate that?
Yeah. So I think, like, I also agree with Mala. That's one of the biggest challenges we have faced so far, which is to really identify what our common goal is as volunteers, as domestic workers, and together as we work as a unit, right? What is this common goal that we work towards? Like, is it participating in more poetry competitions? Is it having more like English classes? But beyond that, what is the common goal, right? Like for the years to come, for generations to come, because Tamil domestic workers are going to continue to come to Singapore. What is the goal then to make their lives better here? That's something that we're struggling with to arrive at as a group because of the daily struggles and the daily like problems that the women face with each other. Like Malar said, there's a lot of competition sometimes, jealousy sometimes, just like in every other group. But I guess it's important to tease that out for ourselves and to kind of find out and kind of acknowledge the root cause of it all so that we can all move ahead together.
Yeah, so that you can just kind of focus on the overarching issue and kind of push that forward. Thank you very much, Aarthi and Maral. Maral, romba nandringa. It was really lovely to have both of you here. Maral, நீங்க ரொம்ப நல்லா பேசுனீங்க. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Imagine leaving your country to escape the many acts of oppression to provide for your family, and then only to fall into the same ruts in the country of your choice.
I know, and they're suffering in silence, still invisible, and still just trying to just move forward.
Yeah, but hopefully being part of a community like Women of Shakti grants them the strength to really break through these challenges. We wouldn't have had the pleasure of finding more about this and all the other great initiatives that we've shown if not for Not Ordinary work on Now. So joining us next is Nurlina Mohammed, Artistic Director of Now. They're also one of the 7 TCare beneficiaries. Initiated by theatre artist and arts educator Nurlina Mohammed, Not Ordinary work works with bold and defiant women change makers, offering them a platform to share their stories and inspiration. Recognizing that there are many ways in which women hold space for each other and indeed other unacknowledged communities here in Singapore, The Not Ordinary Work series aims to make the invisible visible, all led by women and supported by women production, technical, and administrative teams. Please welcome Norlina.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Norlina.
Hello, Aarathi and Dhaniah. Thank you for having me tonight.
Yes,
As a
and now
guest.
we have. Yes, exactly. Now we have you on as a guest, Norlina. Norlina, tell us more about the Festival of Women Now 2020, which runs till the 2nd of August.
Well, it's a 3-week program and it's got a diverse number of programs. It's like over 10. I think we have about 11 or 12 programs. And Women of Now digital exhibition is just but one of those 11 programs that I have that will be spread across 3 weeks, And then this live chats is just another one of those programs that animate the digital exhibition. Yeah, and it is, as you have beautifully said, it's led by women, from the creators to the makers to the marketing team as well as the technology team. But we also have some men helping us. They're our allies, and they help us along the way.
Here. The live chats that we've been doing, as you said, launched the festival, and has brought each one of the women that you featured in the digital exhibition into a new dimension, because we've had the chance to get to know them, put a face behind that name. Yeah. What was your motivation for the Women of Now digital exhibition?
Well, it started in, Now 2020 began in 2019. And at that time, I was very interested in women's voices, specifically just women, not to fill gaps, but to understand what are they doing in this 21st century. We go beyond just thinking of boardroom success. But what other areas of success can we illuminate? So one of the first things I did was the power of letters. I was looking at how women were writing letters to speak up, speak against, speak for, and speak with other women for causes that they feel neglected, or areas of narratives that are left unseen or unheard in our community, in our society. And so I picked up letters that were written by women to the forum pages, highlighting some of the inequalities that happen. So I did an exhibition of that. So Women of Now is an extension, is a second in that series. And this time I focus on the actual works. And then I feature the women and profile them digitally.
Okay. You mentioned that now, when your concept for Now is a festival across 3 years, what would additional funding from TCare do for Now?
Well, definitely it is about programming. But it's not just about the programming. It is about the people. As you know, the Festival of Women Now 2020 runs across 3 weeks, and they're offered to the public for free. Now, I feel like even for a program like this, if a viewer is out there, and if they could just imagine a ticket price to this, because there is value behind these two, and there are people involved in this, and I'd like to be able to fund them. Every single dollar that comes through TCare to Now goes directly to these people, to the creators, to the technology supporters, to like yourselves, to build the community and make sure that it sustains till 2021. So yes, offered for free virtually, but if they are able to, any sum, big or small, contributes to the larger pool. And of course, for TCare, we also have 6 other beneficiaries. So we are sharing the pool. And that's the same ilk as food rescuers. Share resources. Think as a community. Champion one another and support the cause together.
Yeah, I think everyone forgets that there's a whole army of people that powers this kind of stuff that comes to us, full of information, full of passion, and it's necessary. So Norlina, can you give us a little bit of a sneak preview? What will 2021 bring?
Actually, I want to talk about sex. You see, you all get excited already. Now,
my favorite topic.
I know, it's bedroom talk. I don't know, because I work very collaboratively. I may have an initial idea, I go forward with it, and then when the women creators come on board, they offer me other ideas. And then together, collectively, we now for the next year, just like this year. I began with just a simple idea of unseen and unheard. And then every single inspiration that comes from the ground feeds the creation of the work. Every single collaborator that I've met and worked with, or sometimes not for this year, but for next year, has fed to the creative process. Now, I've loved the whole idea of working on this now process. And yeah, I proposed for 3 years, but who knows? If there's a lot more tales to tell, a lot more things to uncover, it can have a life of its own. It all depends on the community out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Norlina.
Then
And
we-
I can actually see there's a comment here from Mervin. He says, please consider donating to T-Care, an initiative in support of projects created and developed by women to make positive change in our community. Yes, well said,
Hey,
Mervin.
hey,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Norlina. It was lovely to have
No,
you
thank
here
you.
and put a face to the artistic director that is, now.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, and enjoy yourselves. You both have been very lovely. Thank you very, very much for doing
Thank
this.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now pushes the boundaries with interdisciplinary programs, that allow the passion of women changemakers to sow the gaps in society with the thread of care, conversations, and constructive action. And really, what a feat to bring them all together.
Thank you and bravo, Nolina. And now for your tenacity to build upon the good work of these inspiring women. Which brings us to another inspiring woman tonight, Elva Yanti, neighborhood leader. Elva Yanti says, saya suka busy-busy. Kita buat amal, tolong orang, kita pun happy. Which means I like to be busy-busy. We do good, help people, we are happy, they are also happy. This quote pretty much sums up Elva Yanti. She supports with heart and hands wide open the residents of her neighborhood Jalan Kukoh.
As a regular volunteer with Beyond Social Services, she organizes food distribution around the estate, holds Ramadan pop-ups under her block, decorating it with flower arrangements, and arrangements and displays, drawing community together as their part leader, part mother, part educator, all empathy, practicality, and care, all Elva Yanti. Please watch.
Saya Haslina binti Jamaluddin. Saya tinggal York Hill, daerah Cincy Road. Saya kenal Kak Ifa. Sebelum saya dah pindah sini, saya kenal nama dia lah.
I'm Salvador, son of Krishan. So I'm living here for 7 years.
Nama saya Elva Yanti. Saya tinggal di Jalan Kukoh sudah sekurang-kurangnya dah 16 tahun. Saya bertinggal bersama suami dan anak-anak dan seorang cucu 4 tahun. Saya punya hobi adalah suka melihat barang-barang yang cantik dan hiasan-hiasan cantik. Sebab kalau kita macam cantik, bersih, orang tengok kita happy dan orang pun suka menengok keindahan itu kan. Saya bikin ruangan macam gini membuat hati saya senang dan saya balik kerja rasa penat saya tu hilang dan teringin nak balik ke rumah senantiasa. Dan saya bekerja sebagai cleaner, part-time cleaner di SSO. Selain itu, saya juga sebagai sukarelawan di daerah blok saya, York Hill, Jalan Kukoh dan Jalan Minyak. Dan saya ditugaskan sebagai bagian event. Dan sebagai macam memberitahu rakyat residen apa yang akan terjadi next week atau apa yang kami lakukan.
So she help us a lot. So any event or any party or RC, she will definitely recommend us to come down and join with them and have a fun.
Kita mestilah tahu dengan topik apa yang kita bikinkan, seperti contohnya hari raya, celebrate hari raya. Dan kita tahu tujuan tu hari raya. Dan kita tahu supaya orang tu datang macam mana, dengan pakaian macam mana, dengan harapan apa ke situ. Jadi saya minat dan saya tahu, otomatik saya akan tahu apa yang saya buat dan saya arrange. Kalau saya seorang bikin pun tak akan bisa. dan saya ada kawan-kawan lain yang membantu saya, terutama suami dan kawan-kawan saya lah.
Saya ikut dia macam menolong orang yang susah. Seperti macam rumah ke rumah. Kasih orang makan, kasih orang macam barang-barang pasar, goodie bag, tolong yang orang yang susah-susah lah, macam orang tua-tua nak turun kan susah. Jadi kita hantar rumah ke rumah lah.
Kalau hari raya je tak mungkin kan, hari raya itu hanya 1 tahun sekali. Tapi yang kita perlukan hari-hari. Jadi saya juga membantu sponsor untuk membagikan sayur-sayur dalam sebulan 2 kali, 2 week. Tapi dia tidak sayur aja. Kadang-kadang ada beras, minyak, nestem, roti dan lain-lain untuk kebutuhan hari-hari. Selain itu, kita adakan free market dalam 6 bulan, 5 bulan sekali. Free market pun perlu apa? Baju-baju, seluar, kebutuhan, buku-buku, kasut-kasut, yang penting ada. Semua free.
You can see that Elva Yanti has really built a space to allow her community to come together and really support one another.
I know, she seems like so much fun and like a ball of energy. It was so nice to see her neighbors feel that sense of, collective dignity, that kampung spirit. She's really brought them together.
Yes, and we've got a comment here from Isabel. Think as a community, exactly. That's what it's all about, right? And there are so many parallels there with the work of Nashita Tan. She's a sustainable textile artist and educator. Nashita Tan set up looms as a place to welcome stay-at-home mothers carving an identity for themselves and a rightful place in a workforce that they had not been able to partake of before. Welcome, Nashita.
Hello, Dhaniah. Hi, Aarathi. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Nashita. Yes, I'm glad you're here. Tell us, Nashita, how does looms work with stay-at-home moms?
Yeah, for women who have always put their families before themselves, the Loom Studio is actually a sanctuary for them to come together on a weekly basis where they train in artisanal skills and they create sustainable textiles and products which are made into high quality custom design products for our corporate clients.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the material and the product that's being created?
Sure. So, I mentioned that we do sustainable textiles and products. I actually have some examples to show you. So the products that you see behind me, those are actually the textile panels that we create. But I've got like a piece up here that you can see closer. So these lines are actually textures created by style offcuts, where ladies have taken off yarns from, and then they create these patterns with it. And if you can see, the slight bubble texture on top.
Yes.
This is actually upcycled bubble wrap that the ladies have used to fuse over the artwork to preserve the artwork, so that we can convert these pieces into handcrafted high quality products.
Okay, and what are the products? Do you have
so we have functional products. Yes, I do. So this is something that we've created for a corporate client of ours. This is a sample, it's a prototype, so I don't have the branding here. But if you can see, the front pocket is actually made of the bubble wrap textile panel. And, it's really functional. It's got zips, it's got multiple pockets at the back, and it straps onto a notebook or, a laptop or tablet, easy for people to go around from meeting to meeting and so on and so forth, just carrying what they need in this little thing here.
That's a very, very good idea.
Here's an example.
I think I need one of those. In addition to these sustainable craftsmanships and skill building, what life affirmation does this space provide for the women who are using it?
Yeah. Very often they come with a lot of baggage. They come with a lot of worries from caring for other people. And when they enter the space, they very often can breathe a sigh of relief, because it is a space that they can consider it to be their own. where they build a community with the rest of the women who come together into the space. And it becomes a very supportive, a very safe, comfortable space for them. And many of them tell us that, they love coming to the space. And, like the testament of how they feel towards coming to the space is, really they come from all parts of Singapore. We're in the middle of Singapore at Jalan Pemimpin. And they are from Bukit Batok, Choa Chu Kang, Pasir Ris, in the past we have ladies coming from Jurong. It takes them a long time to commute, but they come. Yeah.
Sounds like they almost find themselves again, right? They just rediscover
Yes, they
their
do.
identity.
Definitely. There's this strong sense of, yes, I do want to be responsible. I want to take care of my family members because this is my purpose in life. But I think as individuals, we really do need to live for ourselves, because otherwise, how would their children, their daughters look at their mothers and, be inspired to be the kind of person that they want to be? So, we're really glad to be able to provide for that.
Absolutely. You're giving them a chance to
Yeah.
lead by a fairly awesome example.
Yeah.
Nachita, how do you keep the focus on the artisan and product and not simply being assumed it's a byproduct of, a community outreach program?
Yeah, that's right. So when we first started, this is definitely the perception even our corporate clients have of us and of the work that we produce. And I think over the years, we have been able to prove with our track record. And I think it's also the stories that we push out when we go out to talk to our clients, and what we choose to focus on, So we focus on the work that the women have put in to train themselves to be artisans in their own right, that they're able to create the artwork that they create. And the products speak for themselves. People are just astounded at the quality that was produced. I mean, that are produced, this is how people start to go away from the fact that, perhaps we're catering to a group of women with specific needs, and it could be like a charity link thing, because at the end of the day, what we are promising is, products of really great value, and it takes skills to produce these items. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations for building that community and helping them build their skills and giving them that confidence.
Yeah, it's definitely our pleasure,
you,
Thank you very much for having me.
We've actually got a comment here from a viewer. Grace Lee Kuch says, 2 women, 4 women, by women, with women. What a powerful community with resource sharing at its core. Sending love and massive congratulations.
Thank you so much, Grace. Well said. I'll be keeping that quote and sharing it with the ladies.
And that's the Grace that was on yesterday as well.
All right.
Thank you so much, Nachita.
From Access Path Productions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good night, Nachita.
So I really love that the artisan's decision to be a part of Looms is what's seen as the empowered choice in itself.
That's right. Exactly. It's an entrepreneurial choice.
Yeah, exactly. So if you'd like to find out more about any of the 7 beneficiaries of TCare and all the women we've had the pleasure of speaking with over these 3 evenings, do go to the website as mentioned in the ticker tape at the bottom of this screen. Our next conversation is with Nyam Su Lin. She's the facilitator of Connected and Hopeful Communities. As co-founder and executive director of Arts Walk Collaborative, an arts-based charity organization working with communities, Su Lin's work is rooted in the conviction that all communities have agency and wisdom, and that to collaborate is to respect, understand, and celebrate in order to co-create. Please welcome Su Lin. Hello, Su Lin.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you. Su Lin, community development, it can be cookie cutter and policy initiated, and your view we know is different, which is that all communities are unique. How does Arts Walk Collaborative work to reshape this assumption?
Yeah, so at Arts Walk Collaborative, we essentially work at the intersection of arts and communities in the field of arts-based community development. And this is primarily in the role as intermediary and creative producer. What that means is that we bring together people, ideas, resources, we do research on communities and then design processes to work with these communities. And the programs then emerge from that whole research process that we undertake. And this is important precisely because communities are diverse, that they're different, they have different stories, histories, identities, concerns. And that really needs to be at the heart of community development work, that you can't, no two communities are alike. And it is in that difference that that the work needs to be done, right? And a lot of it is also about bridging differences within the community and between communities as well. I would say the other thing that is really important about community development work is that we don't avoid having difficult conversations about sensitive issues or even difficult issues. So we tend to work with communities that are marginalized or can be invisible or around very difficult or sensitive topics. So for example, we have a project called Both Sides Now. It's together with the other company, Drama Box, and we're looking at having end-of-life conversations within communities. And as you know, that can be potentially a sensitive topic in Singapore across ethnic groups. But we've been doing this for 7 years, and that's a really important conversation to have so that individuals, families are better prepared for that whole process, which can be very painful. We also do a youth theatre festival and One Peer Pleasure. And we look at difficult topics. So last year we worked with young people and we looked at poverty in Singapore, where young people underwent this whole research process with communities. They collected stories, excavated them, and then devised work. This year we're looking at disability in Singapore, which is again can be quite a complex issue, a very nuanced issue. And artists and the arts, that's a wonderful process. Medium and forms for doing this kind of community development work.
Yeah. Who do you work with for these programs?
So for Both Sides Now, as mentioned, it's with Drama Box, but there are also other different types of stakeholders. We went to two different communities in the past 3 years. One was Telok Blangah and one is Chong Pang. So these are actually residents in that community. And then we collaborate with the different community groups. So there was Yishun Health, a hospital, there was Montfort Care, and many volunteers actually for this particular project. We've had about 500 volunteers over 7 years because it's a very personal topic for many of them and they do want to connect. Then for our Youth Theatre Festival, Peer Pleasure, it's with Esplanade. They're our collaborator. And then we work with schools. We work with, last year there was Beyond Social Services. This year we auditioned, people from the disability community. So there's a production with a very diverse cast and them working alongside people without disabilities. And that's been a wonderful co-creation process.
That's lovely. We just spoke to Grace Lee Koo from Access Path and she does
Hi, Grace.
similar things. Yeah. Is it difficult to build participation in your programs and projects?
Actually, it's not difficult at all. And, we sometimes think that, Singaporeans, we're not comfortable speaking up in public. A lot of our work is in public spaces or that we're afraid to talk about difficult issues, but we can't be farther, from that truth. I think what's really important is how that experience is set up for and with communities, how they're invited into the space, how the co-creation happens. And so when there's a lot of respect and it's a non-judgmental space, there's no right or wrong, especially when it comes, when working with arts-based processes, that kind of openness is really welcome. So when all those things are in place, and of course, when the communities feel understood, so going back to the importance of research and really spending time and listening to communities, they definitely participate. They want to respond, they resonate with the issues. So that has never been an issue. In fact, back in 2012, we did this project called IPS Prism together with Drama Box again, and we were looking at governance in Singapore. That was in 2012. So looking at Singapore 10 years from now, and we were wondering, whether Singaporeans would come forward, would they talk about difficult issues? Artworks were left out in the open, in the public, would they get vandalized? None of that happened, right? So I think we very much want to have a voice in civic issues and public issues and want to co-create that space. And the hope is more artists will also step up and do this work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're seeing changes all across Singapore, just in terms of how they deal with and talk about community issues. So thank you very much, Sulin, for being with us today. It was lovely to have you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
I really
Sulin.
enjoyed being here. Thanks so much.
We've got a comment before you go from Shadowin. He says, "Thank you for bringing together a group of inspiring women really inspired by their works." So he's inspired by your work. You're one of
Thanks so much
inspiration.
for that.
Thank you and good night.
All the best with the festival. Good night.
Thank you.
So it sounds like getting involvement from the community itself to engage in its own development is really the key to establishing meaningful and relevant spaces for everyone. And speaking of getting involvement from the people around you, up next is Azlina Ahmad, a kindness advocate, mother of 3, and the founder of Smile Salaam SG. A volunteer trip to Cambodia with her family to install water filters was the beginning of Azlina's decision to create Smile Salaam SG, creating and organizing family-led trips and initiatives that empower a paid-forward culture of kindness and enabling entire families to participate in volunteerism. Welcome, Azlina. Hello.
Hi, Aarathi. Hi, Dhaniah. Hi. Nice to see you, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, lovely to see you too.
Yes.
Okay, Azlina, I'm going to jump right into it. Why
Sure.
is it important to volunteer as a family?
Okay. I felt it's important because, as parents, we are the role models for our children. And my daughter, who was 10 years old back then, during the first trip in 2018, had always asked me about the volunteer trips that I went. I'll be away for 5-6 days. And then when I'm back, she will be eager to hear stories about what I do, about my experiences. However, she cannot relate and wanted so much to join me. And that was how Smile Salaam SG, I guess, was born in 2018 when I started to plan my own volunteer trips to Cambodia. So my family could have first-hand experience from building the biosand filter from scratch, okay, installing at the villages and interacting with the beneficiaries. We also encourage other families and individuals to join us. I believe that when we volunteer together as a family, we grew together in volunteerism, because it's an excellent way for us to close the gap between the ages, interests, and many more. It's an activity that every one of us can enjoy while learning the value of doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do we identify who needs assistance? I mean, how do we know that we're helping a community long term and not just, indulging in short-term charity?
Okay. So when we start on an initiative, what we need to do is to do some research, be proactive by putting ourselves on ground to understand the problems that the beneficiaries face and the circumstances that they are in. So we have to speak to them. Okay, be on ground, to be involved in their routine activity. We need to ensure that we get the facts right about the information we gather and the support that we can give to the right people. Because at times we may do more harm than good. For example, if we wanted to help a family who is asking for financial assistance, by just giving them money without finding out more to understand their situation and the problems that they face may not help them in the long term. So perhaps the issue could be as simple as not having the resources to find a job.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be, it takes a lot, I think, to be kind mindfully, right?
Yeah,
how
that's
do
right, a lot
we
of work.
Yeah, definitely. How do we make the first move to share an act of kindness, Azlina, in your opinion?
Oh, okay. If I could share about what I've done for Project Nimbliness, where I made the first move, during the circuit breaker period, during the circuit breaker period, I have to work at home. I think everybody working, I have to start working from home. So I live in a flat that consists of a mixture of 3-4 rooms and, studio apartments. I was asking myself, I live here for a year and I don't really know my neighbors and their names, and I have elderly neighbors, especially those who are staying alone in the studio apartments. So during this period, is there anyone that they can reach out to for help? So that's how I kickstart this project. I decided to make the first move to connect my neighbors since most of us should be at home. So what I did is that I prepare goodie bags, okay, with a note to say hi to my neighbors and shared my contact so they could call me if they need anything, like, get groceries or run errands or whatever it is. So I left the goodie bag at their door. And you know what? I was amazed by the responses that I get. Now I have about 50 over contacts of my neighbors. Yeah. And my
Wow.
neighbors started, yeah, they started to message me, and I had some lovely chats over the phone, with most of them. Just recently, an elderly Chinese auntie, yeah, she needed help with her TV. She still keep the little note with my number, and she called me for help. I mean, that was the first time I hear from her, and the relationship just built after that. You see, so humans are naturally wired to be kind. Sometimes it just takes a little thought to make the first move, and the little act of kindness really matter, as it does make a difference in the lives of others. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, and I mean, just by that one act, you've just almost just recreated that kampong again, right? I mean, that's what we've
Yes.
lost, becoming
Yes,
a
the country
city.
spirit. Yes.
Yeah, and that wanting to interact and co-create together, it's just being lost. And kudos to you for starting that.
Thank you, thank you. And I would love to see everybody to do the same as well, because all of us just keep our doors closed, but actually all of us are friendly and have this kindness in us, Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to step out of our little bubbles. Thank
Yes.
you.
You're
Thank you
most
so
welcome.
much, Azina. It was lovely to
Thank
have
you,
you
Dhaniah.
here.
Yes, thank you, Artia. Thank you, Adrian. Thanks for having me here. Yes. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. So I think the lessons and experiences that the people around Azlina have been able to gain from her initiatives, whether it's about spreading joy to others or volunteerism, they're really invaluable. And our
Yeah,
final
yeah.
guest for the night, to wrap up live chats with Women of Now, is Nur Aina binti Sapari, young advocate, curious student. As a member and a coordinator of Community for Advocacy and Political Education, also known as CAPE, a student-led organization at Yale NUS, Nur Aina aims to improve political literacy among Singapore youth through engagement, participation, and critical thought. Please welcome Nur Aina.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for
Hi, it's
inviting
lovely
me
to
here.
yeah, it's lovely to have you here and closing our 3 days of talks.
Yes, I hope that you guys too are okay listening to me talk for just a few more minutes.
Thank you for caring about us too.
No problem, no problem.
Naraina, I understand that you and members of CAPE were actively involved in the elections. How is that for you?
Well, it's been a very tough but definitely very productive time. In terms of my own like personal reasons, I've definitely learned a lot about what it means to get into advocacy work. And it gave me a lot of time to reflect on my own values and to reassess why I'm doing the things that I'm doing right now. So much so that when I was invited to do this thing, it reminded me again of why I should stop and reflect on my actions. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite timely then that we did invite you to write this letter to your future self, right? That encapsulates your experience over the last few months.
Yeah. I definitely had quite an experience trying to write it. So
great.
Shall I?
Would you do us the honor? Yes, please.
Okay. So, dear Aina, today is Monday, 13th July 2020. Just to give you the context, the past few days, weeks, months have looked like this. Amid a global pandemic, Singapore underwent a circuit breaker period. The streets became fairly quiet, common places mostly empty, and the majority of people now stay in their homes with either their loved ones or alone. After about a month, Singapore started to open up its businesses again in phases, ensuring that we work together to manage the cases of the outbreak in our communities. But this pandemic is not just a health crisis. It has become the catalyst for many debates on the inequalities that exist within our society now. And perhaps just as importantly, it also allowed us to share what we aspire to be as a society, one of solidarity, justice, and equality. Now, today is Monday, 13th July 2020, and it is also the weekend after the general elections. So the past few months of heightened reflections, conversations, and actions have led up to a key political event that will determine the immediate years of society and potentially the years beyond. This period has reaffirmed my belief that it's important to be politically engaged, not just looking at political affiliations, we need to know what we stand for. And I learned that many youths, including myself, know the causes we are passionate about. So what happens now? Now it's about knowing how to stand for those causes. This is where my work in CAPE comes in. It is my belief and our purpose to build the necessary vocabulary to articulate structural gaps and processes that create and perpetuate inequalities. Political literacy is an important tool that can bolster civic engagement, and often on my social media, my friends educate, reflect, and communicate with others on issues of the day. Now, this leads me to believe that there are youth today who are capable and ready to do more than just knowing. Different people have different capacities in which they can act, and while some may focus on volunteering, donating, etc., some may want to invest time into research. Regardless, it will take a combination of concerted efforts to create the change that we desire to see. And I believe that this will not change, even into the future. But still, there is clearly a growing appetite for civil discourse. So what I do hope to see in the future is more youths being encouraged and supported in endeavors of civic participation. On that note, I want to end this letter to myself with a few reminders. Number one, being idealistic and having aspirations is not being naive, it is being hopeful for the future. And number two, hopes can become realities if you commit to acting on them. And lastly, number three, believe it or not, you are not alone. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really impossible, to put into words the magnitude of COVID-19 and the rise in political engagement we all experienced through the recent Singapore elections. And you did it and put it into a few paragraphs. You did it so well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for reaffirming me.
No, I think it was really well written. Are you going to keep it and read it again in a few years? I reckon you should, keep it in a tin somewhere.
Definitely, definitely. This is probably one of those once in a lifetime experiences where every single environmental factor has decided to act up. So it'll be good to read this again when I'm older.
Yeah, absolutely. Narayana, from your position as a young and politically, socially engaged advocate, what have you discovered about what it takes to have and share your voice?
Okay, so I would say firstly, and perhaps the most obvious thing is that it definitely takes a lot of courage, because you are going to voice out your opinions. You're putting something out there that people can actually look at and respond either positively or negatively. And even more so, it takes a lot of courage to actually analyze your own privileges and then either unlearning problematic behaviors or finding ways to use that privilege to elevate your advocacy. And a second thing is that there is definitely a very steep learning curve. Keeping yourself aware of the unfolding events and developments of social issues. The world unfortunately keeps going, so you definitely have to keep doing that. And sometimes different things can come really hard and fast. Like perhaps there's one day where there's a spike in conversations about social inequality, and then the next day it's about race. Not that it's a bad thing in general in the grand scheme of things, but to an individual it can be a bit fast paced, and I think the natural instinct is actually to switch off. And I guess part of the learning process is actually finding the strength and the hope to switch back on again. And personally, I think this is the hardest part for me because there will always be that tension between addressing your own life needs and the needs of society.
Yeah, exactly. But how do you focus on what is really critical? How do you decide what's critical?
Well, to sum it up very nicely, it's just knowing that you are the architects of your own change. And of course, there are a plethora of tools that we can use to work towards that change. But I guess they would generally fall under two categories of political literacy and civic engagement. I did mention it in my letter, and I think that a lot of people are interested in getting politically and socially conscious, even if they don't realize it. And I think it's because we grew up in the period of time where it's almost mainstream to have some sort of inkling of what is going on in the world and the stakeholders that are involved. So some people have really gone on to educating themselves about issues that they care about and engaging in dialogue about the issues of the day. And I would say many of my friends do this. And perhaps a good example, again, would be to use the general elections, seeing as we just had one. But the main point is that there are just so many issues and policies that are being discussed on a societal level that on a more personal level, this could also mean seeing your friends and your family engage in reflections and conversations about it in real life or even on social media. Actually, I think even more so because we are all
I think
isolated.
even more so.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
I think even more so.
Yeah, so I think there will be a point where advocacy will require you to go a step further and see what really perpetuates these issues and to analyze the structural gaps in our system. Because hopefully by knowing the focal point of long-standing issues like inequality and injustice, you are able to participate more effectively in policy discussions. Or maybe on like a very basic level as a voter, you at least know what you want to see in like their manifestos and policies.
What are you voting for, right? You need to know that. But obviously to be aware of all these issues, you know, the inequality, the disparity, the privilege, there is, it takes a lot. I mean, there's a lot out there. Can we talk a little bit about the effect on mental health to keep ourselves continuously engaged? Because like you said, it's all on social media and there's just this information coming at you all the time. How can we, how can we deal with that, I guess?
Right. Again, I really think this question could not have come at a better time. In fact, I have expressed to many of my close friends and that I have been quite stressed writing this letter and even for this interview itself. So pardon if I took a while to make some coherent sense. But as mentioned in my letter, the pandemic and the elections were so much more than just a crisis or a political event, you know. They were catalysts for many important conversations about such deep-rooted issues that I personally cared about a lot. And even now, I'm still processing and trying to figure out what to do next, you know? But in general, I think as you get more involved in advocacy work, there will be the expectation, be it from yourself or from other people, that you have to keep on top of what's happening. Like for me, because I'm currently co-leading a student organization literally focused on building political literacy and civic engagement, there is that added pressure to, number one, constantly be in tune with the events and to quickly disseminate essential information in the most accessible and objective way possible. But also, number two, on a more personal note, there really is no shortage of friends and family wanting to exchange opinions and ideas. Again, these are not bad things per se, but when you're constantly trying to be aware, when you're trying to be open-minded towards issues and alternate perspectives, and to again balance that tension of addressing your personal needs and societal needs, it would take a lot of mental bandwidth. So if anything, I've learned that everyone would feel this way at certain points, even veterans, hearing as from those that I know at least. But by being in that position, you are actually presented with the choice of either switching it off or stepping back entirely, or stepping back for as much as you need, trusting that others will come to support you or do the work in your place until you regain that strength and am I still live?
Yes, you are. Yes, you
okay.
are. You can keep speaking. I think your
my
I think your image is frozen.
Oops. Okay,
but we can still hear you.
I can still continue.
Keep going.
Okay. Yes. So stepping back for as much as you need, trusting that others will come in to support you or do the work in your place until you gain that strength and optimism to resume your efforts. So for me, I think just truly believing that I am not alone will help alleviate some of that mental fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a great comment from Isabel, and she says, "Thanks for showing us the importance of keeping up with important issues, and this is how more of us can get involved and stay involved." So,
thank you for that.
And that's from Isabel Deju. Okay, so Naraina, we can't see you because of a Wi-Fi glitch, and your screen is frozen, but we can still hear you. So I'm going to carry on with our last question before we wrap up. What are your biggest lessons learned?
So hopefully my frozen screen is not too distracting, but biggest lessons learned, I would say, as much as I talk about educating myself about issues and knowing these terms like democracy, privilege, etc., I think that we don't need to be experts before we can participate in the process of making change. I think what's more important is being an active listener and learning as you go, because this hopefully prevents us from being gatekeepers of civil society, disallowing or even worse, dismissing those who have just started or those who are not as quote unquote informed. Because at the end of the day, we can't afford to, and we shouldn't be turning away genuine and sincere efforts of people who desire change for a more equal and just society.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think even though you're not experts, like you said, I mean, there are also, like you said, there are other people that you can lean on for support, to even ask those questions that you're unsure of, and in a way of educating yourself. So it's just consistent learning, right? Okay, so we're just trying to refresh Noraina's feed so that we can bring her back on screen. And yes, there she is.
Hey, I'm back. Hello. Yeah, sorry, I got the last part of your closing got cut off. I'm so sorry, but do you mind repeating?
Yeah, no. I was just saying. I mean, lots of what you said. Educating yourself, leaning on peer support, and admitting that you don't necessarily know it all, and just kind of moving forward so that we're all informed.
Yeah, not to worry. There are a lot of people in this world. We do have to do our part when we can, but if you are not working at full capacity, or if you're not able to really devote yourself, and you think that you need to take a step back, there are definitely people ready to support you. You just need to go out and find them, and I'm pretty sure they are closer than you think. Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Noraina. It was such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. You too. Bye-bye.
All the best. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
When we're constantly and critically involved, it's actually quite a lot of information to take in, especially now with COVID and everything being online. I think it's quite exhausting.
Yeah, like what you said, with online and social media especially, you're constantly bombarded by this information. So what the two of you discussed actually about taking a step back and self-care is actually so important so that you don't burn out. And it gives you time to check in, also recenter and realign your own intentions, I feel. I also like what she said about how your voice matters because it's representative of your community, and that might otherwise become unheard.
Yep, that's right.
And, yeah, that's a wrap. All right, but before we go, we're going to read off a few comments from Facebook and YouTube first.
Okay, and this one's from Atika Rahman, sorry. Nashita Tanwaling, that was really eye-opening. She says, I hope we're able to create more safe spaces for women in Singapore, not just to reclaim our identities, but also to allow us to flourish. And we've got another one from Vera Mayer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She says, good job, Alvayanti, and lots of claps. Keep up the spirit, and she's very inspiring. Thank you, Vera. And Wang Chin, in answer to my woes with spring onions, she says, I think it's a she or a he. I freeze my rescued spring onions. Exactly, that's exactly what I do too. I have them in little ice cubes, and I chuck them in whenever I need them. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah, it works for curries and stuff, not so much for salads because
I
then
just
you get
learned something.
Yeah, and with that, Nolina's got the Hashtag Women Championing Women.
Not to forget the hashtag Women Championing Women. And that's a wrap for us. It has been such fun and such an honor to celebrate the human spirit with the Women of Now over the past 3 nights, from community artists to champions for migrant workers and families from low-income backgrounds, forensic scientists, and community connectors and builders. It has been so eye-opening to see the diverse work that's being laboured here in Singapore. You've been watching Live Chats with Women of Now Part 3, which is part of Festival of Women Now 2020, presented by TWorks.
TCare, which is TWorks' beneficiary initiative, exists to support projects led by women and is a commitment to making the borders between art and life more porous. And just a little reminder before we leave you tonight, this year TCare supports 7 projects, which are the Kodet Project, led by Nurul Jihada Hussein;
Keeping Hope Alive, led by Fion Phua; Project X with Vanessa Ho, Sherry Shakisha, and Wani;
It's Raining Raincoats, Deepa Swaminathan; Project Chulia Street by Eva Lim Seng;
3 Pumpkins, led by Lin Shiyin, and Now, helmed by Nolina Mohammed. So keep watching the Festival of Women Now 2020 online, which has a variety of insightful programs till the 2nd of August. Do visit www.notordinarywork.com to find out more about what's happening, the women, and their programs. Details about how you can support their work can also be found there.
Yeah, Dhaniah. And there are 3 weeks of fantastic programming, all streamed live via TWorks Facebook and YouTube channel. Coming up tomorrow at 7:30 p.m., don't miss Entangled Intimacies, which is a live stream verbatim account and dialogue about transnational divorce narratives. This has been great to do this with you, Dhaniah and Evelyn. Thank you so much for being fantastic co-hosts. And thank you, viewers, for watching and engaging with your live comments and questions and tips on spring onions over the last 3 days. I'm Aarathi.
And I'm Dhaniah, and we have been your hosts for Live Chats with Women of Now. Signing out.
Good night.